2024 is wrapping up, and what a year it's been for MMORPG fans. Filled with surprises, disappointments, and everything in between. From groundbreaking blockbusters to indie surprises, this year delivered a rollercoaster of releases. In this video, we're diving into every MMORPG that launched in 2024. I'll share some key features, player reception, and my personal experiences. So stick around to find out which games are worth your time and which ones you might want to avoid. "2024 began with the release of Ravendawn, a free-to-play MMORPG that masterfully blends nostalgic pixel art visuals with innovative sandbox mechanics. The game emphasizes player freedom, offering expansive open-world exploration, non-instanced housing, farming, and a dynamic player-driven economy. Together, these features create a vibrant and community-focused experience. Some of Ravendawn's key features include the endless class customization, non-instance housing, dynamic economy, and the diverse gameplay. Ravendawn made a strong impression at launch, attracting over 250,000 players within the first few weeks, far surpassing expectation. Now, although player numbers have since declined, the game maintains a consistent player base of approximately 5 to 10,000 active monthly users. Ravendawn has received acclaim for its nostalgic visuals, extensive customization options, and a robust player-driven system, really distinguishing itself in a crowded MMORPG market. However, players have expressed concerns about the combat system, the fixed camera perspective, and the grind-heavy progression, identifying areas for future improvement. Ravendawn's nostalgic charm is one of its strongest draws, reminding me of why I fell in love with MMORPGs in the first place. I spent countless hours exploring, farming, and crafting, and while I don't play as actively now, I do still log in for seasonal events and to maintain my land. The early months, especially with my guild, were a highlight, packed with exploration and community-driven fun. While the Horizon's Call expansion briefly reignited my interest, the lack of staple MMORPG features such as raids, instance dungeons, and world bosses with meaningful rewards has kept me from committing long term. If these were added, Ravendawn could easily become a staple game in my rotation. For those who love sandbox style MMORPGs, it's absolutely worth checking out, especially as a free-to-play title with regular updates and strong growth potential. Next, February saw the release of Trimurti Online, a classic style MMORPG with a fascinating twist. It draws heavily from Indian mythology, weaving its world and story around the lore of the 3 Hindu gods. As a remake of Tantra Online, the game has been rebuilt from the ground up, offering a mix of PvE and PvP content, including dungeons, raids, and PvP battles. Some of the key features of this game include the Indian mythology setting, the dynamic combat, the strict no pay to win, and the collection system. Trimurti Online entered early access with little fanfare and a modest player base, peaking at just a few hundred players. While the compact world design initially creates a sense of activity, the player base has since dwindled, with monthly active users dropping below 100 and fewer than 5 to 10 players online at any given time. Trimurti Online has garnered mixed reviews from its community. While players appreciate its nostalgic setting and fair monetization model, criticism has been directed at its slow progression, technical issues, and the steep learning curve, which can hinder accessibility and enjoyment. I spent about 5 hours in Trimurti Online, reaching level 13. Unfortunately, during that time, I only unlocked a single active skill, making combat feel slow and very repetitive. Each encounter required extended rest periods to recover, really breaking up the flow and making progression feel unnecessarily drawn out. The compact world design had some positives. Enemies were grouped closely together, and the small map made navigation quick. However, this also highlighted the game's limited scope. Simple tasks like looting basic quest items often relied on excessive time or just sheer luck, adding to the frustration. That being said, I appreciated the game's unique Indian mythology theme, which felt refreshing compared to the usual settings in the genre. The small community was also very welcoming, with players gifting me items that slightly ease the grind. Despite these bright spots, The slow combat, grind-heavy mechanics, and the lack of meaningful progression made it hard to stay engaged. It often felt like the game just didn't value my time. Trimurti Online shows potential, especially for players drawn to its unique theme and challenging gameplay. However, it still feels like an early access title in need of significant polish and rebalancing, but it appears that is what's happening and the developers are doing that. If you're intrigued by its cultural setting, it's worth exploring for a few hours, but don't expect it to hold your attention long term in its current form. In April, Reign of Guilds emerged as the next notable MMORPG release, blending old school charm with a medieval fantasy setting where power and politics reign supreme. This indie buy-to-play title with a free trial option places a heavy emphasis on PvP, guild warfare, and player-driven economies, giving players the tools to shape the game world through alliances, rivalries, and strategic resource control. Some of the key features of Reign of Guilds include guild wars, player politics, the classless progression system, and resource economy. Reign of Guilds debuted with moderate player numbers, appealing primarily to fans of PvP-focused MMORPGs. As a niche title, its player base has remained small, with an estimated 400 to 700 monthly active players, and fewer than 100 online concurrently at most times. Players have praised Reign of Guilds for its guild-based mechanics and nostalgic castle siege battles, which evoke the feel of classic MMORPGs. However, common criticisms include persistent performance issues, a clunky combat system, and the steep grind required for progression, particularly on the free-to-play tutorial island, which can take days to complete. Personally, Reign of Guilds isn't quite my style. Its heavy PvP focused and grind-heavy progression don't align with the type of gameplay I typically enjoy. That being said, the try-for-free model is a great feature, allowing players to experience the game before committing to a purchase. For those who thrive in hardcore PvP environments and enjoy guild-based gameplay, Reign of Guilds offers an intriguing, although rough experience. However, with its steep learning curve, slow progression, and unpolished mechanics, it's a tough sell unless you're deeply invested in this niche genre. April also saw the release of Quest Masters Realm, an MMORPG that aims to deliver high adventure with real-time action combat, dynamic quests, and team-based gameplay. The game is designed to foster group cooperation and strategic thinking, promising a skill-based and social experience, though the reality doesn't quite match the ambition. Some of the key features include dynamic quests, action-based combat, group-orientated content, and the strong PvP elements. Despite its ambitious design, Quest Masters Realm faces a significant hurdle, an average player count of nearly 0. This lack of an active community makes it nearly impossible to experience the cooperative and social elements that are central to its gameplay. Player feedback on Quest Masters Realm is mixed, which is quite surprising. While its imaginative world building and dynamic combat have received praise, the game is plagued by technical issues, an overly steep early game learning curve, distracting audio design, and an underwhelming tutorial phase that leaves newcomers frustrated. It's difficult to recommend an MMORPG like Quest Masters Realm that is completely deserted. While the game is free to play, the lack of an active player base undermines the very essence of this genre. Without other players to team up with or compete against, the social and cooperative gameplay that it promises simply doesn't exist. Unless the game sees a significant influx of players or undergoes a substantial overhaul, it's unfortunately a title I would suggest skipping. May brought us Abyss Online, a buy-to-play PvP-focused MMORPG that entered early access in 2024, with a planned full release for 2025. The game promises a skill-based progression system, full loot PvP, and large-scale guild wars within a vast open world. Now, Abyss Online launched with high ambition, but quickly became one of the most disappointing releases of 2024. The game struggled to attract players at launch, and now sees little to no activity in its current state. Player feedback has again been surprisingly mixed, with some positivity seemingly aimed at countering review bombing rather than genuine praise. Common criticisms include persistent technical issues, unresponsive combat, and a general lack of polish. Many felt the game was simply not ready for release, I had the opportunity to test Abyss Online early in the year, and I was genuinely surprised when it launched. During the testing phase, the game was barely functional and there was barely any content. While there were some very minor improvements at launch, it still feels more like a collection of disconnected assets than a cohesive MMORPG. With a price tag exceeding £20 for early access, it's impossible to justify the cost for something that feels absolutely years away from being truly playable. Frankly, this is one of the worst games that I have ever played. A project that would be far better suited to continued development than being sold in early access. Unless you're morbidly curious about how bad a game can be, Abyss Online is best avoided for now. In June, Tarisland launched as one of the biggest MMORPGs of 2024. This free-to-play game offers 9 diverse classes with dual specializations, challenging dungeons and raids, and a cross-platform play between PC and mobile. Promising a fair environment, Tarisland aimed to deliver a balanced and accessible MMORPG experience. Some of Tarisland's key features include class diversity, heavy team-based PvE content, cross-platform play between PC and mobile, and seasonal content updates. Tarisland launched with a massive marketing push, partnering with major content creators and boasting over 3 million pre-registrations. While player numbers were huge at launch, the game has since experienced a steep decline. Although exact figures are unclear due to cross-platform play, estimates suggest 10,000 active monthly players across all servers and platforms. Tarisland has received mixed feedback from players. Many praise its engaging dungeons, class diversity, and challenging boss fights. However, criticism focuses on its underwhelming storyline, recycled content, and perceived subtle pay-to-win elements. I was personally very excited for Tarisland's release, but I suspect its extensive beta testing drained much of the excitement before launch. Progression was heavily gated to prevent players from reaching max level or completing the story too quickly, a choice that made sense given the game's lack of substantial content. I did enjoy the dungeons and raids for their layered mechanics and varying difficulty levels, but these were introduced too slowly and often relied on recycled content. Even new content frequently felt like a rehash of earlier experiences, which dampened the sense of progression. The community, while active, could also be very toxic at times, particularly in team-based activities. Tarisland truly shines as a mobile MMORPG, delivering an authentic MMO experience compared to the autoplay-dominated alternatives in the genre. However, as a PC MMORPG, it struggles with grindy daily tasks that quickly become monotonous, progression that is so generously handed out there's little to no incentive to log in daily. You are better off just playing once or twice a week. Despite its flaws, Tarisland is a game I might revisit occasionally, thanks to its straightforward progression and mobile-friendly design. It has potential, but recapturing the early hype from its launch will be a steep challenge. Just prior to the release of Tarisland in June came Pax Dei, a buy-to-play sandbox MMORPG that brings medieval life to the forefront. With a focus on realism, player-driven mechanics, and social interactions, it immerses players in a world where every decision shapes their journey. Whether it's forging alliances, building a village, or crafting to thrive in the harsh medieval landscape. Pax Dei's key features include a player-centric economy, an immersive sandbox, social play, and dynamic events. Pax Dei launched to significant attention, attracting tens of thousands of players and backing from prominent MMORPG creators. Unlike many early access titles, it has maintained a stable player base averaging 1,000 to 3,000 concurrent players and an estimated 150,000 monthly active users. The game has been widely praised for its breathtaking visuals, immersive environments, and an intricate crafting system. However, common criticisms include a lack of content and some describing the experience as incomplete, as well as frustrations over resource management and balance. Pax Dei released during a very busy period for me. I was at college doing a course at that time, and I'd missed out on the testing phases, but then I also prioritised Tarisland at launch, which aligned more with my preferences. However, it quickly became clear that Pax Dei isn't suited for solo play. The game's grind-heavy progression and community-focused gameplay makes collaboration essential to the experience. The developers have been actively addressing player feedback with regular updates and promise of new content, which bodes well for the game's future. Its stable player base, strong sandbox design, and slow burn gameplay style have the potential to keep players engaged long term. That said, the current lack of meaningful content limits its appeal, especially for those seeking deeper character development and a more dynamic gameplay loop. Pax Dei has the potential to evolve into a standout MMORPG, particularly for players who enjoy immersive crafting systems and community-driven worlds. Its transition from early access to a subscription-based model could appeal to those seeking a polished premium experience. While it's not my usual type of game, I'll be keeping an eye on its development as it approaches the full release. Late July marked the full release of Fractured Online, an isometric sandbox MMORPG that emphasizes freedom of choice and strategic gameplay. With its player-driven ecosystem adapting to your actions, the game offers unique experiences across its multi-world design, whether you're an explorer, crafter, or fighter. Fractured Online's key features include a player-driven world, dynamic ecosystem, skill-based combat, and its 3 different worlds, each offering unique challenges. Fractured Online spent a significant period in early access, leading many to predict its closure due to a dwindling player base. However, the full release in July sparked a bit of a resurgence, drawing in loyal players eager for a fresh start. While player numbers remain fairly inconsistent, the game maintains an estimated 2,500 monthly active users. Player feedback on Fractured Online has been mixed. Its classless progression system, player-driven economy, and innovative knowledge-based progression have earned praise for their creativity and depth. However, common complaints include a low player population, technical issues, and the occasional lag and crashes, which detract from the overall experience. I didn't expect to enjoy Fractured Online as much as I did, but it hooked me in from the start. I spent over 24 hours in the game during launch weekend, gathering resources, building up my own house, and outfitting it with crafting benches and other stuff. The Fresh Start server introduced with the full release provided a clean slate, making it an excellent entry point for new players. One of the highlights was joining a guild on my very first day, and together we built a nearby town that grew into a bustling hub for larger houses, crafting stations, different buildings, banks, and everything. The collaborative gameplay, from constructing the town to organising guild events like boss hunts, made the experience incredibly engaging and rewarding. I was particularly impressed by the knowledge progression system, where hunting and studying enemies unlocked new abilities. This mechanic added a layer of purpose to every encounter, making progression both addictive and rewarding. However, it's disappointing that Fractured Online struggles with a small player base. The game has immense potential, especially for fans of sandbox and guild-driven gameplay. With continued development in 2025, I'm optimistic it can grow into a standout MMORPG. It's one of the few games in recent years that's truly captured the joy of community and collaboration for me. Throne and Liberty launched in October as a next-generation MMORPG that aims to set a new benchmark for open-world exploration and stunning visuals. This cross-platform free-to-play title combines dynamic world-building, massive PvP battles, and cinematic storytelling to create a seamless and immersive experience. Some of the key features of Throne and Liberty include the seamless exploration, the dynamic weather, epic PvP battles, the cinematic storytelling, and that cross-platform play between PC, Xbox, and PlayStation. Throne and Liberty was one of the most highly anticipated MMORPG launches of 2024, and its release delivered impressive player numbers. Amazon Games reported over 3 million players across all platforms during its launch week, thanks in part to the game's free-to-play accessibility on both console and PC. Although activity has declined since launch, the game continues to maintain a very healthy monthly active player base of somewhere between 2 to 5 million players across all platforms. Community feedback on Throne and Liberty has been mixed, however. Players have praised its stunning world design, large-scale PvP battles, and the cinematic storytelling, and just the general overall engagement. However, criticism has centered on its pay-to-win monetization model, simplistic combat mechanics, and a lack of depth in PvE content, which some players find restrictive. Additional concerns include the gatekeeping of certain game features, limited long-term enjoyment for solo players or smaller guilds, and the grind-heavy daily tasks required to stay competitive with others. Throne and Liberty is a bit of a mixed bag for me. On one hand, it's visually stunning and delivers some of the most immersive storytelling I've experienced in an MMORPG. I spent time in the beta and revisited it post-launch, and while I appreciate the streamlined combat system with its minimal but impactful abilities and active blocking, I found it difficult to fully immerse myself in the game's systems. The weapon system, which lets players mix and match to create unique builds, is intriguing. However, reports of endgame balance issues leave me hesitant to invest too much time. My bigger concerns lie with gated content and the pay-to-win monetization model, which create barriers for those unwilling to spend money. Additionally, PvP gatekeeping and dominance by top guilds exacerbates the feeling of being left behind for more casual players. That said, Throne of Liberty is worth trying, if only it's for the story and cross-platform accessibility. It's rare to see a game of this scale available on PC, PlayStation and Xbox, and its free-to-play model makes it easy to dive in. However, the game's long-term success depends heavily on Amazon Games and NC Soft, whose reputation in the MMORPG community are mixed at best. For me, Throne of Liberty is a title I'll likely revisit to finish the story next year. However, my overall experience left me wondering if I've grown more nostalgic for simpler MMORPG systems, with less monetization pressure. It's a solid game with plenty of potential, but only time will tell if it can sustain its player base and address its flaws. Early November saw the release of Brighter Shores, a free-to-play MMORPG developed by Andrew Gower, known for his work on RuneScape. The game blends nostalgic point-and-click gameplay with an evolving episodic story set in a magical world, offering a mix of diverse professions, puzzles and mysteries. Brighter Shores stands out with its fair premium pass model and absence of microtransactions, making it an accessible and charming MMORPG experience. Some of Brighter Shores' key features include its episodic updates, classic gameplay, diverse professions, and fair play model. Brighter Shores launched to a modest but curious player base, intrigued by its unique approach to MMORPG gameplay. As expected for a niche early access title, player numbers dropped by nearly half within the first month. However, the game continues to maintain a steady few thousand concurrent players, with an estimated monthly active user base around 50,000 players, a promising start for a new MMORPG. Brighter Shores has received a mostly positive rating on Steam, with players praising its charming visuals, engaging profession system, and nostalgic gameplay style. Many have noted its polished presentation despite being in early access, calling it a strong start for a new MMORPG. However, common critiques include grind-heavy progression, basic combat mechanics, and a lack of depth beyond simply increasing numbers. I haven't had a chance to play Brighter Shores yet. It was a surprise release I hadn't heard much about, and I simply haven't found the time yet. Based on the reviews, the game has drawn inevitable comparisons to old-school RuneScape and other nostalgic MMORPGs, with many praising its polished start despite being in early access. While I wasn't a RuneScape kid growing up, I gravitated more towards Tibia and RPGs like The Elder Scrolls. I'm intrigued by what Brighter Shores has to offer. Its blend of classic point-and-click mechanics and episodic storytelling sounds like something worth trying, especially for fans of old-school MMORPGs. Hopefully I'll find time during the holidays to dive in and see if it captures that nostalgic charm. At the end of November came the release of Key to Heaven, a free-to-play 2D MMORPG that transports players to a world of mysterious islands, fierce monsters, and hidden treasures. With its nostalgic retro-inspired visuals, the game delivers a casual yet engaging experience. Developed by a small, passionate team that actively engages with its community, Key to Heaven is perfect for those seeking a charming and light-hearted addition to the MMORPG genre. Some of Key to Heaven's key features are crafting and gathering, sailing adventures, multiplayer interactions, and unique items and upgrades. Key to Heaven has been available for some time, but officially exited early access in November, resulting in a small but noticeable spike in player activity. With around 200 monthly active users, the game thrives on its niche yet loyal community. On Steam, Key to Heaven has received mostly positive reviews, with players praising its nostalgic 2D visuals, retro MMORPG charm, and the dedication of its responsive development team. Regular updates continue to refine the experience. However, common criticisms include limited content and minor technical issues, which can occasionally detract from the overall enjoyment. Key to Heaven caters to a specific audience, players who love retro MMORPGs, and are seeking something both nostalgic and fresh. While it felt familiar, it lacked the depth and history of classics like Tibia or the Realm Online. One standout feature is the ability to create your own server, fully customizing the experience and inviting others to join. This adds a unique layer of creativity and control, making it an excellent option for those who enjoy tailoring their gameplay. That said, while I can see its charm, Key to Heaven didn't quite capture the nostalgic spark I usually look for in retro games. I didn't feel the same connection here as I've experienced with other classics. However, if you're a fan of retro MMORPGs and want to explore something new yet familiar, Key to Heaven is absolutely worth a try, especially since it's free to play. The end of November brought another standout MMORPG with Corepunk, a game that blends a gritty cyberpunk aesthetic with traditional MMORPG mechanics, delivering a unique top-down experience set in a fog-covered open world. Corepunk invites players to explore diverse environments brimming with mystery and danger, featuring strategic combat that rewards teamwork and skill, a deep crafting system, diverse character customization, and a focus on both PvE and PvP. Corepunk sets out to carve its niche in the crowded MMORPG space. Corepunk's key features include that cyberpunk meets fantasy visual, the fog of war system, a strong PvE and PvP focus, and its deep crafting systems. Corepunk entered early access with decent hype, supported by MMORPG creators and strong marketing. While it performed well during its launch week, player numbers have stabilised at approximately 2,000 active daily users. Reception has been mixed. Players have praised its innovative fog of war mechanic, which adds a strategic layer to exploration, and the unique combination of MOBA-style elements with traditional MMORPG systems. The atmospheric world design has also been widely appreciated, offering an immersive experience that feels both fresh and familiar. However, criticisms include a lack of engaging early game content, overly strict survival mechanics, and quests heavily reliant on RNG progress, which can frustrate players seeking a more streamlined experience. Corepunk is a refreshing and addictive game with a standout style that sets it apart in a genre often dominated by repetitive MMORPG formulas. The fog of war system adds tension and excitement to exploration, making the overland world feel genuinely engaging and immersive. However, the game isn't particularly beginner friendly, which may put off newer players. Certain quests, such as pressing on skeleton corpses for RNG drops, can become frustrating after repeated attempts. Additionally, there is a lack of direction outside of missions, though this feels like an early access issue as the game seems to be building its foundation for something much larger. The developer roadmap for Corepunk looks ambitious, with regular updates and exciting content on the horizon. While the game is currently buy to play, it's perfectly reasonable to wait for the full launch to see how it evolves. Personally, I've enjoyed my time with Corepunk so far and plan to keep playing it until it either burns me out or hooks me in completely. Rolling into the early festive season, at the beginning of December is Spire Horizon Online, a buy-to-play MMORPG set in a mystical world. Players step into the role of a resurrected skeleton warrior, battling demons and uncovering ancient secrets. With dynamic combat, diverse classes, and a blend of action-packed gameplay and relaxing activities, the game offers surprising charm at an accessible price point. Some of the key features of Spire Horizon Online are its diverse classes, expansive world, dynamic combat, and its variety of activities. Spire Horizon Online is a buy-to-play MMORPG with an accessible price point of just £3.39, making it an appealing entry for budget-conscious players. Despite its low profile, the game maintains 10 to 70 concurrent players, supported by a small but engaging community. The reception has been mixed. Players appreciate the game's unique concept and engaging trailers, but critiques often focus on its limited content, technical issues, and slow progression. While some aspects feel incomplete, the developer's roadmap shows promise, with updates planned ahead of the game's full release in early 2025. Spire Horizon Online turned out to be one of the biggest surprises for me. I went in expecting very little, but the game delivered a chill and enjoyable experience. From killing enemies and crafting gear, to flying with wings and fighting sharks underwater. There really is a quirky charm to it all. While the combat is very basic, primarily just holding the left mouse button, it improves as you unlock skills and begin utilising dodging and blocking. It is an action combat system, which is what I typically enjoy. It's not groundbreaking, but there's something satisfying about gathering enemies and then burning them all down with your AoE skills. Progression is primarily story driven, with quests guiding your journey. Grinding enemies for crafting materials is also a nice touch for those looking to upgrade their gear. The cinematic cutscenes, while undeniably janky, still set the stage well. It's impressive that they're even included at all, but I hope they're optimised over time to better reflect the game's potential. My biggest concern with this game lies with its pay-to-win elements that are creeping in. The auto-fishing DLC grants experience and items, essentially enabling AFK progression, and costs more than the actual base game. Additionally, there's links to subscriptions and Patreon, offering various advantages such as purchasable XP boosts, which could be off-putting for some players. That being said, for just over £3, there's plenty here for a few hours of fun. With a clear developer roadmap and room for improvements, Spire Horizon Online could evolve into a solid entry-level MMORPG, especially appealing to a younger audience. If the developers focus on marketing and refining the experience, this title could surprise many more players. And finally, the last MMORPG release of 2024, Pantheon: Rise of the Fallen. This is a challenging group-focused MMORPG crafted for hardcore players who thrive on cooperative gameplay, exploration, and strategic resource management, drawing inspiration from the golden age of MMORPGs. It blends classic mechanics with modern quality of life features to deliver a truly unique experience. Some of the key features of Pantheon include group-orientated gameplay, the climbing system, challenging content, and its perception system. Pantheon: Rise of the Fallen launched into early access with a niche appeal, but quickly garnered a dedicated community. Within its first week, an estimated 55 to 120,000 players tried the game, aided by a strong visibility on Steam. The game has received mostly positive reviews, with players praising its social, group-orientated gameplay and nostalgic return to classic MMORPG mechanics. However, critiques include technical issues, limited content, and an early access state that feels closer to an alpha build. While many positive reviews express optimism for the game's future, they often acknowledge significant flaws, raising questions about the current state of the experience. Pantheon: Rise of the Fallen is a game I've wanted to love for years. The concept of a heavily group-based MMORPG perfectly aligns with what I enjoy most about the genre. However, after participating in testing phases and playing since its early access launch, I've been left disappointed by its bare-bones state. While I appreciate the nostalgic MMORPG feel and really enjoy the skill-based progression system reminiscent of Tibia, Pantheon feels far from complete. In my most recent playthrough, I started in the beginner cave. While it provided an introduction to the mechanics and some early grinding opportunities, it lacked narrative depth or direction. Escaping the cave proved frustrating, with no map or clear guidance to navigate the exits. Pantheon's pay-to-play model raises concern in its current state. Many core features are either missing or non-functional, and the overall lack of polish makes it feel more like an alpha phase than an early access release. While some players may enjoy the grind and adventure, most modern MMORPG fans will struggle with its slow progression and limited content. That being said, Pantheon holds a strong appeal for older players, nostalgic for EverQuest-like experiences. If you're looking for a group-orientated adventure with slower progression and a heavy focus on teamwork, it might be worth a try, though I'd recommend waiting for more updates before committing. For now, it's a game you'll need to experience firsthand to decide if it is worth your time. What were your favourite MMORPGs of 2024? And what upcoming games are you most excited to play in 2025? Let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and discuss the year ahead with you. Thank you for joining me on this journey through the MMORPG world of 2024. It's been an incredible year, packed with surprises, challenges, and unforgettable adventures. Reflecting on everything we've explored together, I can honestly say it's been a year to remember. With some massive titles on the horizon, 2025 promises to be another exciting chapter for MMORPGs, and I can't wait to dive into it alongside all of you. Whether it's discovering new worlds or revisiting old favourites, the journey continues. Thank you once again for watching, wishing you a wonderful Christmas, an amazing new year, and an absolutely fantastic 2025. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye for now.